I'm Alessandra Gilioli. I have a degree in psychology and a master's in art, and I've been a social worker for 20 years. 5 of those years were with Chicago Special Olympics, so I have some fun stories to share. What we're going to do now together is hopefully go on a mental vacation using the power of intention. I have experience as a painter and as an artist, so when I lead my meditations, it's a lot of guided imagery. If you're not a visual person, a way of following along is I'm sharing a story and that we can get immersed in the story together. So ideally, if you can, get in the feeling space of what I'm talking about, because the feeling is where we're creating the magic. Without any further ado, I want to share this crystal bowl, and in a few seconds there's also a crystal harp. So let's start with controlling our breath and maybe doing doing an in-breath that's 4 counts in and 4 counts out. So really slowing our breath down. In, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep slowing down the breathing. And meet my little friend, the crystal harp. And keep breathing deliberate, slower in breaths. So let's start imagining, visualizing, feeling that we're in the story. And the story starts in the jungle. And so we are sitting down by a tree in the jungle. And we're feeling really good. This is in our imagination. So the jungle can be safe, but mysterious and fun and adventurous. So we're starting off by sitting down by a big, thick tree. And as we have our back firmly against the tree, we can feel or imagine how strong and sturdy the roots are of the tree and how we can borrow some of that strength so we don't get swayed by emotions and mental space. We can just be tried and true and steady in this moment in time, leaning against the tree and borrowing our strength from the tree. And this can be any kind of tree we want. Is it an oak tree? Is it a fig tree? Is it a maple tree? Or is it a tree that you don't have the name for, but you know from your childhood and you really, really love? In breath, out breath. As we're sitting by the tree, we're noticing that there is a whole meadow around us. Yes, we're in a jungle, but there is a meadow around us, this open space, deep, rich, green foliage, all different kinds of foliage. It is just enriching to look and observe the details of nature and to smell it. And it's very refreshing already. So we're observing this meadow and our eyes go farther out, this pretty big meadow, and in the distance, farther away from us, we see, is that a waterfall? There is a gorgeous waterfall, and we're being, magnetically drawn to this waterfall. And we're getting closer and closer, and we're like, why not step into the waterfall and feel refreshed? So we're stepping into the waterfall. and the water's coming down, and it's cold, and it's a bit too cold, but then it's just right. So all this fresh water descending from us, and the water pressure from the waterfall feels delicious, not too strong and hard, but not too weak, and it's just the right tension of the water on us, cascading on us with this fresh water. And before we know it, what is this cascading water from the waterfall doing for us? But it's beginning to alleviate some tensions that we had. Maybe it's beating down just in the right way on our shoulders and our shoulder tension. And if we have the liberty to use our imagination in this story, why not begin to feel that the tension that we've been holding on to, that we're not even aware of all the different kinds of tensions, what if we give it a visualization? What if it looks like thick balls of yarn about the size of our fists? And all of a sudden we look at ourselves and we see, oops, there's a lot of balls of yarn, a lot of tension, a lot of maybe repeating thoughts or worries and concerns, and maybe even worries for other people and our loved one. It's just basically all accumulated, and it was in our blind spot. We just didn't pay attention that there was so much accumulation of this type of tension and worry. So maybe we're looking down at ourselves and we are covered in this balls of yarn, thick black yarn as big as a fist, but we're under the waterfall. And so the waterfall is beating down on all of our worries, our imaginary balls of yarn, and it's just beating down on them, and they disappear. They just disappear. They go down with the water, but they're off of us, clean and clear off of us. We look down at ourselves and we're like, okay, whew, close call. We got rid of that yuckiness that we had been unwittingly holding on to, that sort of blind spot, dirt. I don't know what else to call it. But we look down ourselves again, and what if there is something else in our blind spots? What if there is some more tension in a hip or in a knee or in an ankle? And if that tension gets to have a visual, what if it's a smaller ball of yarn, maybe the size of our thumb? And so we have all these little pieces of black yarn that's coming out. Again, it's just a visual imagery or visual symbolism for more tensions and more things. Maybe it's harder to sleep at night lately for the past few months, and maybe it's that can be encapsulated in this balls of yarn that are the size of a thumb. So the cascade or the waterfall keeps working its magic on us, and it keeps pushing away and clearing us of all of these tensions. And we can breathe deeper. And now we just get to enjoy the simple joy of the waterfall. And also the sound that the waterfall make, it drowns out any other sound. Again, our own thoughts, again, our own worries, but just everything else. It even drowns out the world. And so maybe we get to have even more of a mental vacation now. But the waterfall has done its job. We're feeling really refreshed, maybe a little bit cold from having all that water. So we step out from the waterfall and we're like, what to next? Where do we go next in our little adventure? And we're thinking, are we completely done with the waterfall? We turn around, we look back, and we see soap bubbles. What is there, a little child playing and blowing soap bubbles? And there's soap bubbles everywhere, and they float up, and those soap bubbles look so rainbow. There's that rainbow hue from the soap, and it just looks so delightful, and it has that unavoidable bubbly feeling of lightheartedness, like a little accent or the cherry on the cake from having been in the waterfall.